Back at it again. It's the State of Football, baby, here on this Tuesday, September 14, 2021. RIC and a place to be. Ric Serritella. Tell it like it is when it comes to the world of football. Right here, bringing you into the universe of football. It just runs through the veins. We don't even sleep here. We breathe it. We eat it. We sleep it. We smell it. Pigskin in the air. Ric Serritella here on this episode 31, season 2, part 289 on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. Make sure you go check us out. We're on fire. The Hot Boys grinding around the clock. We're doing conference calls 7 a.m. these days at the NFL Draft Bible. At the Conference One Collegiate Esports that I'm so happy to be commissioner of. We're working around the clock to ensure its success. CF1.GG kicking off October 4th. Competitive Valorant. Probably over 100 schools going to be participating in the league. Go to cf1.gg. Make sure you check that out. There it is. Boom. We're going to be releasing some of the school announcements. I'm happy to say Texas A&M, Oklahoma, a couple others going to be released later on today. So make sure you follow us over at the NFL Draft Bible on Sports Illustrated. And tomorrow we have a jammed affair. We've got Chris O'Leary from the CFL. We'll have a representative from the ELF. Of course, we'll have my co-host every Wednesday, Amanda Ruler, and the Gamers. We're so excited to have the Gamers on our overtime segment. Thursday, of course, Dane Vandernat, NFL PA Bowl, Neil Stratton, Inside the League. We also have somebody else Thursday. Oh, Fit Gamers coming back. And then Friday, we have Big Law, Football Friday. And then the Tailgate Show, which we had this Saturday. A lot of fun doing that. And so today, it's a tutorial Tuesday. We like to educate, regulate with Russ Lande, veteran scout, NFL, CFL, XFL, of course, sports management worldwide, and now Hub Football Scout School. Make sure you check out hubfootball.com. If you're an aspiring scout, if you want to enhance your scout repertoire, there's the man to talk to, Russ Lande, checking in from Chicago one final time before he heads up north for the rest of the season, making a pit stop out in LA on September 29th out there in Los Angeles. Russ, good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to be up and about talking to the big cheese and talking football. Life is good.
Whew. Yeah, this is my safe place. Talking football, chopping it up. We're going to do NFL power rankings, my college rankings. I got the sour rankings. I got the quarterback rankings. But, hey, I got to say, hopefully you've been playing along for recreational purposes at home. Not so good on Thursday night football and Monday night football. We went 0-1 there on Thursday night and Monday night. But otherwise, Sunday was very lucrative. 3-0, including 2-0 with our best bets. College, we crushed it. And so the season standings against the spread, folks, against the spread. And Sports Illustrated, I'm going to put you on the spot because you came to me, you said, hey, we need a wagering guy. We need a gambling guy. I said, what are you, stupid? I mean, I'm right in front of your face. Like, let's be honest. You can go find some wanksters that think they know, but do they really know? So if you've been playing along, it's been a good couple weekends on the season. 3-0 on Sunday. So we're 3-2 with the Thursday night and Monday night football on account. 10-5 this season in college football. I'm trying to steer you in the right direction. 10-5? Are you kidding? And best bets, that's all you need to really pay attention to. 5-1 on the season. 5-1 on the season. I want to just make sure everybody hears that. So we're off to an arousing start on the football season. We're off to a great start here on the State of Football, Russ. Initially, yes, Super Sam. She is the Super Bowl champion, though. And, man, I'm so fired up. You know, when you're burning the midnight oil and you're running on the fumes, man, that's when I do some of my best work. And shout out to the Prez, Zach Petra. He's probably, hopefully, wandering around the Jersey Shore looking for a bagel right now. And we chopped it up at the Beachcomber out there in Seaside Heights at the Jersey Shore, watching a little Monday Night Football last night. What a bunch of characters. Wow. Wandering the boardwalk on the Jersey Shore on the late night. God bless. So that was my night, my weekend. Russ, how was your weekend? Montreal CFL, let's check in there. How are we progressing?
Everything is good. Montreal had a bye week, so we're getting healthy. We're getting ready to come back. We game Saturday against BC. It'll be my first game in Montreal during the regular season since 2018, so I'm very excited. Flying up there Friday. And, things are moving in the right direction. I mean, I think the team is getting better each week. We're fortunate to have a coaching staff that teaches very well. And overall, very good. Watched some great college football this weekend. Enjoyed the NFL stuff that was going on. Felt pretty good about seeing a lot of the things I sort of expected the first week of the NFL season, which means they're probably going to be wrong because we know that first week there's overreaction. Everybody's ready to crown new champions and throw teams like Buffalo away because they had a bad week after playing so well last year. But I think a lot of what I expected came through in the first week, and it's going to be interesting to see where things go this next month, especially with teams like Jacksonville, where you already consensus there's a little bit of panic going on there, and they might be getting a little nervous about, did we make the right call? Are we going in the right direction? So, yeah, it's going to be interesting the next month, both in the NFL, CFL, and the NCAA already getting rid of a coach. USC making the move already. USC, that's crazy making that move so quick.
Two coaches from East to West Coast spread love. Some UConn, Randy Edsall,
right, Coach Edsall,
out after one game. Clay Helton out after 2 games. And it's a what have you done for me lately business, as Russ Lande can tell you.
And I got to say, whenever I see that, whether it's college or pro, it's a game or two in. To me, if you're the head of USC, if you're the president, how are you not firing the AD also? Because if the AD felt comfortable all offseason saying this is the guy, and then you lose 2 games, how do you have faith that that AD has any clue what he should be doing?
Yeah, and I think USC might have even won their first game.
Yeah.
It's one loss. That's it. Blow it up.
Yeah. And to me, that says a lot about the AD. And they can say what they want in UConn, but let's remember, before Coach Edsall got there the first time, this is a program that hadn't been good in a long, long time. And I understand things didn't start so good there. Obviously, losing to Holy Cross is not the way you want to go, but still, this guy did a lot of good in that program.
Yeah,
2 games is not a big long leash. I'm not saying they were winning. I think they were 6-22 since he came back.
I mean, they lost to Holy Cross, brother. So I
hear you. I get it.
Yeah. I think the problem is what Edsall's. He was his own worst enemy because for the last 3 years he's been preaching, "Oh, these aren't my guys. These aren't my guys. I got to weed out the culture. I got to change the culture." And then these were his guys.
Yeah, and then they lose to Holy Cross.
Yeah,
no. I get it. I've always just wondered what the higher-ups think of firing after a game or 2.
Yeah, and I think Edsall was like, "Hey, I'm just going to step down at the end of the year. I'll get out of the way." And they're like, "No. Like, get out of here." He's still getting paid. He's a consultant now, I think. But it's a shame.
UConn, I get it because it makes a little more sense. Especially he's been there before. The record over the last 3 years is brutal. But USC to me, that just screams just the AD. Just there's something. It's not just winning and losing. It sounds like there's maybe some animosity between the two there because that's a strange deal to me.
Yeah, I know Helton was on the hot seat to begin with, and then UCLA doing very well didn't probably help either.
No doubt. So, that probably throws a wrench in it. They're 2-0 and looking like they could be a really good team this year. So that makes it a little tougher. Anytime those 2 schools, when one's winning, the other's going the other way, that's where changes usually happen.
Russ Lande, Ric Serritella here on the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated. We're breaking it down. We're chopping it up. And I told you tomorrow we're going to have more CFL coverage. By the way, I see in the chat room, Craig T. Smith, happy anniversary to you and your wife. I think it's Kathy, I believe, right?
It is Kathy, yep.
Craig and Kathy. And so salute. Happy anniversary, you 2 lovebirds. So glad you get to hopefully enjoy it together today. And by the way, did we firm up Craig T for tomorrow? Is he confirmed? Because I'd love to have him on and talk some CFL with Chris O'Leary and Amanda Ruler. So let's see if we can make that happen, Craig. Happy anniversary to you, Ric Serritella, Russ Lande, breaking it down, chopping it up. All right, let's get into it. You mentioned the Buffalo Bills. Everybody wants to drop them down. They're coming in at number 9 on my power rankings, Russ. So I kicked out the Green Bay Packers because that was just embarrassing. I kicked out the Tennessee Titans. I kicked out the Baltimore Ravens because even though you lost to the Raiders, you also lost 13 guys on the IR. I mean, that's incredible. Any thoughts right there?
Well, firstly, I think obviously this is all going to sort of flesh itself out over the next month. But I think when you look at Baltimore, I think you got to be concerned that, I mean, this is a running team, right? I mean, that's what they do. They got off to that 14-0 lead. That's where they're supposed to be good. They're supposed to struggle when they're behind 14-0. And at 14-0, they couldn't close it out. They couldn't keep the ball moving. That scares me a little bit if I'm a Baltimore person today. Green Bay, you sort of hope that was a blip. How often in the last really 10 years has Aaron Rodgers played that poorly? And not just him, but the whole team, missing throws, just getting dominated up front, all those things. You hope that, hey, this was an aberration. You hope it's sort of like that Patriots when they lost like 51-0 to the Bills way back when in the year they won the Super Bowl. But, yeah, that was a scary one for the Packers. And for Tennessee, just odd to me. Just odd that they looked like a team that wasn't the same physically aggressive team. They looked like the ball got taken to them instead of them taking the ball. They usually were the hitter instead of the hittee last year. This year was a little different. But, yeah, I can understand those. I will say when I look at this, the thing that jumps out to me of these teams that are up there, the Saints, I mean, I don't think Jameis played as well as people are hyping him out to be, but he definitely took some positive steps and did some good things. And if he just plays well, that defense is a bear. And I will say I honestly look at that and I say, I think the Chargers, what they do defensively, I think they're going to be a bear for a lot of teams this year. They're going to be very hard to beat. They were impressive to me in how they did Sunday.
Yeah, I finally found a way to crack them into my top 10. And before I unveil the list, you mentioned that loss to the Patriots back in the day. I think that's where Billy Belichick buried the football. They didn't even watch the film. They just buried the ball. We're moving on.
And it worked out, right?
Williams? Huh?
It worked out, right? I mean,
it worked out.
They won the Super Bowl. So sometimes, week one, there are some times where it goes sideways, even for the good teams.
Yeah, I'm not going to say Green Bay is not going to be in the mix. I just can't put him in the top 10 after that performance.
Oh, no, you can't. There's no way. That was woo-hoo, Nelly.
Yeah. But how about this Tyson Williams coming out of BYU, undrafted, to your point, suddenly vaulted into the starting role, almost 100 total yards, a touchdown. He was the talk of the bar last night with the few people that were hanging out. And it's just incredible, too. Like, Latavius Murray signs this week. Le'Veon Bell was picked up a couple weeks ago. He's inactive on the practice squad, which tells me he's out of shape. I mean, what a tool. Embarrassment.
Well, is just you look at all the injuries they had, and they bring in an undrafted guy, and they still go to overtime. They still ran the ball pretty effectively. So, like I said, I'd be a little nervous if I were them, but at least they can say, hey, we've got two veteran guys that in a week or two should be in very good shape. Murray is probably very close considering he went to training camp this year with the Saints, that their rushing attack should get better the next 2 or 3 weeks because you're going to add Murray probably this week and probably a week or two down the road, Bell, and you'll have a 3-man monster there. But overall, I just think, again, it comes down to, are they going to be able to throw the ball well enough to compete with teams that are going up and down the field? But I thought it was a really entertaining first week with some surprising things. I thought Kyler Murray played. I thought that offense clicked at a much better level than I thought it would this year. I'm interested to see if they can keep that going.
My guy Chase Edmonds doing big things over there at Arizona. Last year, you heard me tooting Kyler Murray. This year, it's going to be Chase Edmonds.
And you might want to mention Chandler Jones in there.
Ooh, yes.
Thumping.
Chandler Jones.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
And how about Derek Carr last night, 435 yards, slinging it around the old playground.
It was impressive to see the Raiders, who have in the last 2 years, really, they start off well and then they fall apart at the second half of the season. Maybe it's when the pressure gets to them or whatever. But last night, the pressure was on. They were behind. They kept struggling. But you know what? They fought back the whole game. I'm just interested to see, is this a sign of good things that the Raiders are realistically going to get to 9 wins, 10 wins, and challenge for the playoffs? or is this going to be another situation where they start off and they slowly fade? If I were to bet, I would bet on the slowly fade and that they will not be a playoff team this year, but definitely a good week one for the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm going with the latter. Knock on wood if you're with me. Ric Serritella, Russ Lande, the State of Football, part of the Fan Nation Network on Sports Illustrated, breaking it down. All right, let's get into the official top 10 NFL power rankings after week one. Los Angeles Chargers coming in 10, Buffalo Bills at 9, Arizona Cardinals at 8, New Orleans Saints at 7. 3 of those 4 teams were not even in my top 10. So Saints, Cardinals, Chargers making the debut. Pittsburgh, who was at 10, Seattle, who was at 8, and the Rams, who were at 9, all bump up. I think the Rams arguably have one of the top defenses. I think Denver in the AFC and the Rams in the NFC are maybe the 2 best defenses out there. Remains to be seen, but I've got Steelers at 6, Seahawks at 5, Rams at 4, and then the Chiefs at Browns. They're 2 and 3 for me. That game was so close. It was going back and forth. I really think they're the cream of the crop in the AFC right now. And then Tampa Bay, I know it was a close one. Dallas gave them a little bit of a run for their money, but again, they're the top of the hill until you show me and prove me otherwise. And so there you go. Bucks, Chiefs, Browns, Rams, Seahawks, Steelers, Saints, Cardinals, Bills, Chargers rounding it out. Any final thoughts there, Russ?
The only thing that to me, that if I were a Rams fan, I'd be a little concerned with is it seems like they were very conservative defensively. They didn't look like the same defense last year. It looks like the defensive coordinator there, I mean, they were basically playing a shell the whole game, and they were letting the Bears go up and down the field. Now, the Bears couldn't convert and finish consistently, but they were letting them move the ball up and down the field, and the Bears were able to run the ball pretty well. So I would just be nervous if I'm the Rams saying, hey, are we going to get back to attacking? Because if they're not, I just wonder how that defense is going to hold up over the course of the whole season, because they're not going to be able to sit back like that when they're going against teams like Seattle and San Francisco, because those offenses are not teams that are going to get slowed down when they get in the red zone. They're going to shove it down your throat. So that, to me, is my one concern when I look at that. I think the Steelers are one of the more intriguing teams. I mean, the first half, they looked like they were sleepwalking, and then they just flipped the switch, and all of a sudden they said, wait, we're playing already? This is week one? And then they started to climb out of that pit, and they came back and really not dominated, but controlled the second half of the game against Buffalo.
Hey, Russ, while you're talking here, I'm sorry to inform you, your coach, Carrie Jones, tested positive for COVID. Craig T. Smith tells us he's going to have to go into the quarantine. So thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family, and hoping for a quick recovery there.
Yeah, no doubt. It's obviously anything with this is a scary situation. You hope that there aren't any, you hope it's an asymptomatic situation where he isn't feeling anything. He just happened to test positive, and that a week to 10 days from now, he's back out on the field, fully healthy with no issues. He's one of, I've been around, and you like to tease me about being around this game for way too long, and for decades and decades, and been around a lot of coaches. And I will tell you, Kahari, there's no 2 coaches that are the same, obviously, but Kahari has some definite similarities to Coach Vermeil. And then when you sit with him, he's a very engaging, fun guy to chat with, and you feel that natural charisma, that friendship. Yet he can also lay down the hammer and, hey, this is what's going to be done, and this is what's got to be done, and we got to get it focused. So I'm excited to see where he takes us. Obviously, this will just keep him from the building, but nothing's going to slow down Carr in terms of his work and his ability to lead our team, even when he's not there. His leadership will come through, because he's really laid a great foundation with the coaches that are there, with the leaders we have on the team. And truthfully, this will be an opportunity for Vernon Adams. I mean, we're 2-2. Vernon's matured and developed throughout his career in the CFL. Here's Vernon's opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to try to pick up some of that leadership that's going to be hard to get, because Kahari obviously won't be on the field and in front of us. So it's going to be very interesting. I think it's a great opportunity for our team to show what it's made of.
Yeah, and an opportunity, shout out to Samantha here behind the scenes saying Andre Bolduc will get
Yes.
an opportunity. He'll be elevated on game day this Saturday.
He's one of the best people in the business. He's been around for a long time. And when I got up there for training camp, I hadn't seen Coach Bolduc for 3 or 4 years since I was last with the Alouettes. And he came running up, and we were all excited. He's just one of those guys that you've been around him, Rick, just people in your life that when you're around them, they make you want to do better. And that's what Coach Bolduc is. Everything when you're around this guy, you want to do everything 10 times better. And that's a unique trait, and I think he'll do a great job for us Saturday.
Well, we, again, just hope that Coach Jones makes a speedy recovery here. Russ, we hope for safe travels. Be careful on your journey up north to Canada. And
I got my test scheduled for tomorrow because to cross the border, you got to have a PCR test. I'm going tomorrow to get it.
We got them on standby here in the house, whoever comes by. So, hey, we're ready to go.
Why no one comes to visit now?
No, Zach has been the first in a long time, and we have him quarantined up in the hotel. I know he's probably still wandering the boardwalk over there in Seaside Heights. Ric Serritella, Russ Lande breaking it up. All right, Samantha, get me in contact with the Sour Patch guys, kids, gals. We got to get this segment sponsored. It's the NFL Week 2 sour rankings, the teams we went sour on. And I'm going to start off with the New England Patriots at number 10. I'm just going to call it, like I said, this team stinks. Okay, I'm not saying Mac Jones isn't going to get better, but as of today, this team is terrible. So Patriots at 10. Broncos, despite that defense, I have at number 9. They beat the Giants, big deal. Minnesota Vikings at 8. That was an ugly loss to Cincy. Carolina at 7. Houston bumps up out of the basement at 6. Detroit at 5. They made it formidable. The Giants at 4. The Falcons are in for a long season at 3. The New York Jets I have at number 2. And rounding out the sour rankings, you alluded to it earlier in the show, Russ, Jacksonville Jaguars. You wonder now, can they win a game?
I mean, I think they can win a game. I guess the debate really becomes how will Trevor Lawrence progress as the season goes on, because it doesn't look like they have a lot around him, especially that offensive line. I mean, it looks like he is going to be under a constant barrage. At least the Jets, to me, I think Zach Wilson, the second half, obviously, they were way behind, so they were sort of just throwing the ball a lot. But you saw him get into some rhythm, make some throws. You said, okay, all right, I see some of the things that get you excited about him. And I got to say, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but the Houston Texans played some pretty good football. And Tyrod Taylor, while he may not have been a star, he avoided mistakes. He did his job, and they didn't hurt themselves. So I think your sour rankings are probably pretty close. The only team I think on there that could really change things, I think Denver is a team that I could see them moving up gradually over the season, because I think the defense will get better. And I think each week you're going to see them get a little bit better offensively as Teddy Bridgewater gets more and more comfortable with his new team. But, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense with what I see there, because it was not a pretty week for most of those teams.
Yeah, and I think Teddy B is where I'm a little bit hesitant, because he just fizzled out there at the end of the season with Carolina.
Yep, I get it.
Left a sour taste in my mouth, Russ. That's it. So there's the Week 2 sour rankings. All right, let's move it on to the NFL QB rankings. And not a lot of change here. Probably at the back end. But Brady, Mahomes, Rodgers, Wilson, no change. I got Dak Prescott. He goes from 10 to 5 because I wasn't sure. I wanted to see it to believe it. But not only does he look healthy, to his credit, and we'll toot that horn because you mentioned Tyrod Taylor and the Texans and said, hey, watch out. This team's going to be in games. Not only were they in it, they won it. So Russ hit the nail on the head. But, yeah, no change in the top 4. Prescott now at 5. Justin Herbert, I'm trying to find a way to squeeze him into my top 5. I really believe he's a ascending star. Josh Allen at 7. My guy, Kyler Murray, I have Lamar Jackson out entirely. I think Kyler Murray's better. I got our guy, Big Ben Roethlisberger, in there at 9 because to your acknowledgement last week, he deserves to be in there. And then I know I'm rolling the dice. I'm banking on what I see. I thought he was
played well. Jameis did a better job than I think a lot of people thought. All I'm trying to say is let's not go crazy on, it was 5 touchdowns, no picks, but let's just take a deep breath. He played well. He didn't play like a superstar. He played a good, solid game, which is a great first step in your first game starting for a team. I'm not knocking what he did. I'm just saying let's pump the brakes. Now, I will say, if you took the names off these guys and you said quarterback from this team, I'm not sure Rodgers after week 1 would be a top 10 guy. But based on his history, I think he has to be there. But that week 1 was not good.
Ugly.
By anybody. That whole team looked like they sleptwalked into that game.
No, I agree, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. That's the one guy getting
which he's earned.
Yeah, he deserves it after 17 seasons. Now, Winston, I think he's going to win Comeback Player of the Year. I think he's a dark horse for MVP if the Saints keep rattling off wins like that and they win the division again.
So good that they have a really good chance if he plays efficient football like he did. You could be talking about a guy that throws for like 36 touchdowns, 8 or 9 picks. And if he does that, they're going to win 12 or 13 games because that defense is coming and that offensive line, they have some good players. So there's a lot of things to like. I think it's just going to be how much does Winston progress each week. I think the first week was exactly what they wanted. No errors, played within himself, didn't force plays. And that's what you want. If Jameis doesn't force plays, he has a talent to be a really, really good quarterback.
Yeah, and you wonder if they get Michael Thomas on board. I don't know what's going on with his mind and his injury, but you get that guy back at the stretch end.
Oh, yeah.
That could be an X factor.
Yeah. We've been around this a long time. Winning cures a lot of things. If all of a sudden he's ready to come back after 6 weeks and they're 4-2 or 5-1, they're going to deal with a little bit of whining and complaining. Then when he gets on the field and starts catching 100 yards a game 3 or 4 times, people are going to be happy. He's going to be happy, and things will be fine. So winning cures a lot of ills.
This is true. Quarterbacks can cure a lot of problems. So let's shift gears. Let's go into the NCAA college football scene and the landscape there, Russ. So we're tracking the top college prospect quarterbacks, regardless of draft class. Hey, here's the top 10 quarterbacks that are on my radar that I see and I'm keeping an eye on. And I'll say this, there's really no clear consensus on the national level. And this is shaping up to be one of the weaker quarterback classes that I can remember in quite some time. In fact, I've got one quarterback with a first-round grade right now. One. That's Carson Strong out of Nevada. To me, this is a guy I can work with, I can build around. And I'm not sure I can say that about any of these other guys. And I will say Spencer Rattler at 2 out of Oklahoma. I get it. I see the allure. I believe it can work. Maybe not for me, but I think if you build it around him, it can come. And so he's my number 2. Keaton Slovis, not pretty. Still my number 3. I'm not going to panic there. I like what I see. I can work with it. I hope that he gets it together. You know, where USC goes from here, it can go really, really sour, or it can maybe turn things around. And I think that's what the firing of Clay Helton, they're hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. Dorian Thompson-Robinson there at number 4. Out of UCLA. Phil Jurkovec at Boston College, I think, is just a traditional pocket passer that is going to be sexy to some NFL teams. Matt Corral, Ole Miss. Got to like what this guy's doing. Sam Howell, again, another guy not for me. He's almost like a poor man's Baker Mayfield. But I do think that there's some love still in the scouting community for Sam Howell. North Carolina, though, they might not even wind up in the top 25, which is extremely disappointing. Malik Willis out of Liberty, they took care of business over Troy this past week, and I think he's going to just stay in the mix for that. More of a day 2 guy for me. Desmond Ritter, Cincinnati, same deal. Dual threat cat. Going to test extremely well. He's an athlete. Is he a quarterback? I don't know. I think somebody will try to figure it out. And then Bailey Zapp out of Western Kentucky. Russ, you'll appreciate this. He transfers from Houston Baptist, where, he just throws for 10,000 yards. And then he comes over to Western Kentucky, lights it up week 1. I think he had 7 touchdowns. Another big week this past week. So Western Kentucky quarterback Bailey Zapp rounding out my top 10 quarterback prospects here after the first few weeks.
I mean, I have not been able to study these guys yet to give a true feeling of where they should be drafted, but I will pass along something really interesting that a few scouts have told me. Knowing that I'm in the CFL, I had a few scouts reach out and say, hey, you really need to basically take a look at the list, and they're both going to sort of send me their guys that their teams have rated from sort of 6th round on, because they said that this year there are going to be so many quarterbacks that would be 6th and 7th rounders in most years that go undrafted because the depth this year in the draft, because of the COVID and everybody bumping a year, they said the amount of quality quarterbacks that are not going to get drafted is going to stun people this year. They said it's a great year for CFL teams to jump on guys that should be able to come up and challenge to play right away. And it's also a year where they think, these two scouts told me, they think some NFL teams are going to have to sort of think their plan for their practice squad next year. They've said they think you could see teams keep 2 or 3 PR quarterbacks because there are going to be so many good ones that slip through this year that teams are going to say, you know what, we want to see if any of these guys can develop. We want to keep 2 quarterbacks on the PR, or maybe even rotate 3 guys so that you're always having 2 on the PR, because there's going to be so much talent that doesn't get drafted this year at quarterback. I'm really excited to get to sort of grind the film on those 2nd-tier guys, see if I can find 1 or 2 that might be perfect for coming to the CFL.
No, I would agree with that sentiment, because especially the senior signal callers, like guys like Kenny Pickett out of Pittsburgh, Brock Purdy over there at Minnesota, even a Dustin Crum from Kent State. Like, these are guys that, I mean, I went searching high and low. I never seen anything like it last year. There was literally 25 draft eligible quarterbacks that we found on the final big board. 25 quarterbacks. That's it.
And this year I've heard it could be in the 50s. I've heard there could be as many as 50 getting priority free agent and higher grades. It's crazy.
I could see it. I mean, and out of the 25, there was 2 guys or 1 guy that didn't get even a tryout or picked up. So I could see it happening. Well, I hate to say it, our guy Zach Thomas from Appalachian State.
Yes.
And then the Air Force quarterback, Hammond, he got a tryout with the Packers, and then I never heard anything else from him. But all 23 guys were somewhere. So, hey, all right, so there's a check of the temperature on the quarterback prospects. Let's get into the college football power rankings, Russ. I'm going to work backwards here. I've got a tie at number 10. Texas A&M, Cincinnati. The starting quarterback went down for the Aggies this past week. I still think they're stout. Cincinnati, I want to keep them there in the mix at that at-large bid, but they're tied for 10. UCLA at 9, Penn State at 8, Iowa State at 7, Oregon at 6, Iowa at 5. I think Iowa and Oregon are just knocking on the door. Really impressive wins. Oregon over Ohio State. Iowa over Iowa State. What a game. And then to me, I know Clemson is, I think, really low in the AP poll. To me, they're still at 3, ahead of Oklahoma at 4. Georgia and Alabama, to me, still the cream of the crop, representing the SEC. But good to see the Pac-12 represented with UCLA and Oregon. I mean, 2 teams here that have a shot.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, I think if you just look, I mean, think about it. Oregon beats Ohio State, UCLA beats LSU. Doesn't mean both these teams are going to end up in the playoffs or anything, but it tells you at least that some of the better teams in the Pac-12 are getting better. They're getting more recruits. They're getting better quarterback plays, so they're moving in the right direction. I will say that Iowa State game, I thought Iowa pretty much took it to Iowa State early on. It was sort of like, wow, this is not going to end pretty. I'm a little bit concerned if Iowa State can get it back on track. And I think the thing we're seeing at the top there, even with those great teams, is are they going to be able to score consistently versus good teams? I have not seen those top teams with the quarterback play that you sort of expect from teams that are in that top 2 or 3 spots. Usually those quarterbacks, the guys at Alabama and Georgia have had in recent years, and obviously Clemson, they've been scoring nonstop, but I'm not seeing that this year. I'm seeing offenses from those top teams that are a little bit sort of stop and go. And I think that's going to have to change, or else one of them is going to really get into a challenge with a team like Oregon, a team that can score consistently. I could see a team that can really score and move the ball, jumping up and challenging some teams like Clemson and Georgia, even though those teams have tons of talent, probably more overall talent, especially on defense, you can't score. I think it's going to be a little hard the second half of the season if those quarterbacks don't play a little better on those top teams.
No doubt about it. And, speaking of Oregon offense, CJ Verdell is a guy I highlighted on the NFLPA watch list yesterday on the website. Go check it out, collegiate.nflpa.com. He showed me that he can break away and take it the distance, because I've seen Verdell get caught from behind in the past, and I wanted to see that extra gear. I don't know if he suddenly got faster, but hey, he was outrunning that Buckeyes defense, so he's doing it at a high level. That 77-yard touchdown scamper, big day for CJ Verdell. We talked about Bailey Zapp. Khalil Shakur, another guy I highlighted there at Boise State. This guy is just going off. Look out for him. Little inside-outside versatility. Boise now running that up-tempo style of offense. Don't be surprised if he breaks the Broncos, the Boise State school record, single-season receiving record, that Khalil Shakur. Matt Hankins with a pair of picks for the Iowa safety tandem with Riley Moss, Matt Hankins. I highlighted those two guys, and a lot of top performers there throughout the week. How about the FCS, Russ? A couple upsets happening. FCS over FBS. Shout out, we had Ralph Venture on yesterday, the Northeast Conference with their big FBS win. First FBS win, Duquesne beating Miami of Ohio. How about that?
That's a wow. Because especially when you look at Miami of Ohio, they've been moving in the right direction. I mean, they've gotten a lot of things. I can't remember his name now. Chuck, the head coach who came over from Grand Valley State, really had Miami of Ohio sort of slowly moving in the right direction. And to see that loss, I was very surprised. I mean, Duquesne has always been a good low-level program in terms of winning a lot of games at their level. But to see him step up and beat Miami of Ohio, that tells you Duquesne is really doing a great job of bringing in some guys that might be getting overlooked by some of the bigger programs.
Yeah, Miami, Ohio has about 20 more scholarship players too, I believe. So that's what makes it really impressive. And then Jacksonville State over Florida State. I thought Florida State was going to turn this thing around, Russ, but man, that's a big blow to the Seminoles fan base. And let's be honest, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks, that's probably the biggest win in school history.
Oh, there's no doubt it is. And to see what they've done, I mean, we talked about them last year. They had some interesting guys that were sort of day 3 prospects at Jacksonville State that are still there. And I think for Florida State, it's just sort of an eye-opener. Like, hey, A, what are you doing at the end of a game in that defense to allow something like that to happen? But B, it's like it almost looks like they went in there thinking this will be – and I get it. They're playing a school that's a tier down in terms of level of comp. But they almost went in there thinking we don't even have to come out and compete. And to me, it was just disappointing. I mean, Florida State's got to find a way. And I like their head coach. I think he's a really good coach. Did a lot of good things at Memphis. I think they will find a way to get this going in the right direction. But that was an ugly loss. That should not happen if you're Florida State with the talent they get and the ability to keep as many of those guys from Florida. That should not be a close game. So hopefully they can get this right down there at Florida State, because I think they have a lot of talent. I think that coach is a good coach who knows what he's doing. And I think college football is better when Florida State is winning.
No, absolutely. And shout out to our guy, Marvin Jones, doing big things with the NFL Draft Bible free agent database. In fact, I got a couple spots here, going out to a couple guys that are going to maybe playing this ELF All-Star game October 3rd. Still looking for an offensive lineman and a defensive end. If you're out there, we're reaching out to the undrafted or the free agent database there that Marvin Jones and Alec Polito are doing a great job with. Ric Serritella, Russ Lande breaking it down here for the underground, the football universe world. And how about this? Sports Illustrated's watching. Hey, Bill. They want to syndicate my picks now, Russ.
Oh,
they're gonna syndicate the RIC predictions coming to the SI.com mainstream platform. So keep a lookout. I'm on fire. You know, what did the hot boys say back in the day? Holla at your boy if you want that Ask Him Fire. I got that fire. All right, so we're throwing it back to the 90s here on this Tuesday morning, September 14th, 2021. I want to get into the Hub football a little bit. Can I release some names, Tom? I'll let you chime in. I see in the chat room. Shout out to all the chat room peeps: Craig T. Smith, Tom Goodhines, everybody else, Brian Beasley. I know you're out there watching. So you mentioned a couple teams might be placing 2 quarterbacks on the practice squad with the super senior class coming out, Russ. And I think that's one of the great things about the Hub football camp is I love to see quarterbacks being developed. There's just not enough. There's never enough live bullet reps for quarterbacks to develop, and that's truly the only way they do get better. And so you can go train with all these quarterback coaches in these high school fields and work on the drills and mechanics. But man, till you get live bullets, game-like atmosphere, that's when you find out what somebody's made of. And so I saw some big name quarterbacks registering for the Hub. I want to see who's confirmed. But for those of you tuning in, hubfootball.com, Russ, maybe there's some listeners out there not familiar with it. Give us a little background from your perspective. You've been out there a handful of times. You'll be out there on location this September 29th out in Los Angeles. Little switch up, little bit further up the Cali coast there. But you know, give the people at home an overview. And if you want to dive into the scout school that you're doing, and then I'll get into some of these invites here that are really intriguing.
Well, you know, and I've been doing this since I've been in the CFL, especially going to so many different workouts around the country, trying to find players. And they range from completely disorganized to never being able to find a player to ones with a lot of talent. And I think the thing that Hub, where they differentiate themselves from pretty much any of them is A, they have a lot of talent, B, they're organized, but C, they make it so easy to scout the players because they don't take, like most events, where they bring everybody in and they measure them, time them, and then they throw them all on the field at the same time and have them work out together so that your head is spinning in 400 directions and you get one note on 40 guys, and that's it. What they do that I love is they break it down. So we start off the day, we have a position group and then another position group. And that way you get a chance to measure the kids, get them out on the field, and you get to watch that position group. Maybe they go against one other position group, but it's maybe 12 or 14 guys you're looking at one time, as opposed to trying to watch 50 or 60 or 100 at some of the bigger workouts. And that to me is the biggest reason that Hub is able to separate itself from everybody else. Is it's structured, it's organized, and they break down the workout into positional groups so that you can really focus on those players. So you can come away from watching the offensive linemen and you can rank them 1 through 10 or 1 through 12, no matter how many are there, based on really thoroughly seeing them all work out. You're not just getting one play, a glimpse. You're getting to watch 20 reps of each guy and really getting a feel. It gives you a great chance to find guys. I know we signed 2 guys that came out of the Hub that I was at, the last one, and they both came to training camp, and one of them made our team. Nick Callender made our practice squad. So there's definitely something to be said for the way that Hub is doing it. The way it's organized makes it a lot easier for scouts to do their job. The other part of it, you mentioned the scout school. It's going to be the first time I've ever done sort of an in-person teaching thing. I've been doing the online SMWW intro to scouting sort of course, and it's been great. Been doing that for over 13 years now. And this is sort of taking the next step of just saying, okay, you've learned the basics. You've learned how to sort of figure out how to watch film. I've given you some tidbits, but we've never been able to sit in a room together, watch film, have you ask questions, have me point things out. And what we're going to do with this scout school is the night before, when we get out there on Tuesday night, we're going to sit there. I'm going to go over some basics. Then we're going to watch some film, probably for 45 minutes to an hour of running backs. The first scout camp is going to be running backs. And we're going to watch film and really analyze, hey, this is what a good cut is. This is what a bad cut is. Here's something you can look for that indicates poor instincts, things like that. And that will allow us to really sort of grind deep on the running backs, answer a lot of questions after we watch the film. And then we're also going to dive into, I'm going to teach them how to measure players. people joke when they see the height, when they hear people read it out, and they'll hear 6004 or 5113. And they go, what in the world? Well, I'm going to teach people how to measure, why we use such numbering systems. And I'm also going to get into how do you measure the hand? How do you do the arm? How do you do the wingspan? Things like that, in order to make sure that these guys are as well trained as they can be after a 2-day event, so that when they go out the second day of the event and they're on the field, they can appropriately watch the running backs and know everything about what we talked about the night before. They can get out there and take intricate notes on the running backs they're watching, so that when they get home, they can type reports up on them that are thorough and detailed. So really exciting to be a part of it. Looking forward to both teaching the scout camp, and also, hey, there's going to be 60 good players out there. I can't wait to get out there and take a look, see if maybe we can find a few more for the Alouettes that we can bring up to Canada. Because although we're 4-4 right now, or 2-2, 4 games into the season, hey, you never stop looking. You never stop trying to find guys that can come up and help you get better. So I will be there aggressively looking, and I've already pinpointed a few guys I can't wait to see live.
Yeah, in fact, a little birdie told me this will be the most heavily attended camp from a CFL scout standpoint. We got more CFL teams attending this go around than ever before. So now teams are looking to upgrade. And I am going to be emailing all of them just to remind them that we are moving it, and it's going to be in Pittsburgh. So they can go to the one that's going to be in Pittsburgh on the 28th and 29th. We don't need any other CFL teams coming to this, just me. Throw out a few banana peels out there on the scouting trails. And, a perfect example, though, of what Russ is talking about with the scout school. So, you talked measurements. And so I'll give you a perfect example for doing this so long. So Reggie Corbin, one of the accepted invitations, when I hear the name, I don't think Illinois running back. No, I think 0868. That's what sticks out to me with Reggie Corbin. I don't even have to look, but I know coming out at the combine, 0868 were the hand size. That's probably the sole reason why he's not in the NFL right now, because he's got under 9-inch hands as a running back. And people get a little bit queasy, don't they, Russ? But the man can play football.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, you don't want to eliminate guys because of measurables. Now, obviously, quarterbacks, when that hand size is under 9, teams panic because of fumbling and throwing the ball in bad weather. And offensive line with arms under 31 scares a lot of teams. But having the numbers is important. And also, it's not just having the numbers. And this is what I want to teach them. Part of what you get when you measure these players is you get 30 to 40 seconds with a guy individually. And although they're coached up to handle interviews well, that 30 to 40 seconds when you grab his hand, shake his hand, and you chat with him as you're measuring him, sometimes you get a feel for a kid. Sometimes you get a feel for, oh, this kid's going to be a little bit of a problem. He's not really he's not willing to listen. He's not this. Or some guys you can tell, like when we're out there, and I hate to comment on another guy with another team in the CFL, but when we had McLeod, Bethel, Thompson out there, you could tell just measuring them that just personality-wise, that this is the guy you want as part of your building. He was impressive. There are some guys that come to these events and you can see they sort of look down on having to work out for scouts. They feel they've already proven themselves. And that makes you a little bit nervous. Where you see a guy like McLeod, he's just excited to be out there. And to me, that's part of the measuring. That chance you get to interact for 30, 45 seconds, even a minute, you really sometimes get a great feel for a kid, both positive and negative it can be, in that short amount of time. And that's why I want to teach these young people that come out there, hey, it's not just about watching the film and looking at measurables. There's so many things that go into it. And that's what I want to try to integrate and push so they know what the deal is.
No, it's so true. And they come through the interview chamber, they're immediately being evaluated, how they interact with me, how they interact with Min, how they interact with my assistant, how they're conducting themselves, how they're having side conversations, what are they discussing, are they goofing around, all that stuff, because the scouts will come over and say, hey, this guy looks good. How was he in the interviews? Hey, Rick, how was that guy? What was he talking about? And it goes a long ways. So let's highlight some of these guys, because I think that the hub gives guys like James O'Regan out of UMass Amherst, for example, all-time leading receiver, small school kid who came out during the pandemic, no measurables, hard for scouts to pound the table for him, but all he does is rewrite the record books. And so that's a guy I'm excited to see. Cecil Cherry, I've been trying to get him out there. I said, hey, Cecil, dude, you were the best defensive player, hands down, in the fan-controlled football league, making plays out of Tennessee Martin. Now he's going to take it to the next level. He's going to come out at hub, and I'm excited about it. Tyson Graham is a guy who was just starting a year or two ago for the Falcons. I had him coming out of South Dakota at the College Gridiron Showcase like 5-6 years ago. He's going to come out to the hub. Terrell Hanks, who you'll remember out of New Mexico State, big-time prospect, flunked the combine, just failed in the testing department. Was he injured? I don't know. We'll talk to him. We'll find out. We'll give him an opportunity to, give another impression and leave a favorable one this time with the NFL scouts. How about Tim Lynott from Colorado, somebody I scouted in person a couple years ago against Oregon? You said I mentioned C.J. Verdell getting caught from behind against Devin Taylor a couple years back. Tim Lynott was a guy who I went to bat for in my NFL PA scouting meetings. And you don't win them all, right? And so he's still on the street, and I went for bat again, and we got him into the hub, and I'm excited about it. Prince Momodu. This is a guy, Russ, I'm telling you right now, keep an eye on this young man. Austin Peay, running back.
Okay.
Wow. Great film. Tough, hard-nosed, explosive runner out of Austin Peay. I can't believe he's unsigned, quite honestly. And there he is. If you're watching at home here on the live stream, I just get so excited. Every now and then a film stands out to me, and this was one that I filed it in the memory bank. I said, man, this guy can run. Definitely can play up north in the CFL for any team. So that's why I say, hey, keep an eye on this young man. And I would not be surprised, as you're watching at home, it's just a highlight reel, but he submitted some really solid film. I would not be surprised if this young man gets picked up. I think of a team like the Baltimore Ravens, who we were just talking about. If they ever saw the film on this guy, he is a Baltimore Ravens running back. He is their style. He fits the mold. And so Prince Momodu from Austin Peay. I love that you gave him some shine there, Samantha. All right, Matt Seibert, who just came out last year out of Michigan State, tight end. He can block. He's not going to hurt you too much in the passing game. When I saw him live against Rutgers, I just wanted him to find the gym a little bit. Where's the workout room, Maddie? Can you locate it for me? Like, let's come on. Let's go. So hopefully he comes a little bit stronger. Nick Truesdell, what a great story. He's 31 years old, Russ, but he was lighting it up in the XFL, the Alliance League, making all kinds of plays. He was just with the Vikings last year. And I honestly believe that, again, it just takes one guy to see it and believe it. I think Nick Truesdell can play in the NFL. I really do. Now, does he need a little work and coaching up? Sure. But I think he's not that far away. Like, you stash him on the practice squad, by the end of the season, you might have like a Mo Alley Cox type of tight end to throw to and inject into the equation.
Yeah, he's a really intriguing kid. I remember seeing him at the Vikings camp a few years back. He's a big athletic kid. I've sort of thought that this is a guy that could come up to the CFL, and because of the waggle, you could almost use him as a giant receiver. He's a big, tall kid who can run for a big guy. I think the issue is he's still learning to play football. There's still some rawness to him, but when you talk about natural athlete with natural hands, I think there's a lot of good things to look at with this kid. I'm excited to see him out there.
Yeah, and I will say, hey, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, and we try to find the best talent. I think 1 out of 4 guys, 24% is getting signed. If you're watching at home, the Nick Truesdell film, little buggy there, former show. So now we got 5 hosts going on. Samantha,
I'm saying if you're watching at home, you have Rick twice. That's a little scary in and of itself.
That is scary. Times 2. Oh my God. And so, I got, speaking of Marvin Jones, he calls me up Tom, I don't know if you got the same phone call, but he said, Mitch, kid, what are you doing? Why is this kid getting the invite? I said, Marvin, he said, didn't you watch the CIF championship? He didn't even start against us. Like, he came off the bench. I said, Marvin, I said, hey, the film he submitted was pretty good, and it was outdoors, and it carried weight, it carried value, and again, you're just looking for somebody to believe in you. I believe in Mitch Kidd, and sometimes, go look at Kurt Warner and think it can't be done. People counting you out, slinging it around the indoor league. But Mitch Kidd is a guy out of Redlands, one of the quarterbacks here, Russ. What an opportunity for this young man.
Huge opportunity. And I got to agree with you. His film that he submitted was very impressive. Now, obviously, small school, Redlands is not the powerhouse. But I think he showed enough there to say, hey, you know what? There are guys playing in the CFL with similar skill sets. Let's see what he does live. Let's take a peek. Is this a guy that could come up and be the next Jake Mayer, who came up to Calgary and really filled in well for Bo Levi Mitchell when Bo was hurt? Let's take a look at it, because we've talked about it before. Sometimes in the CFL, the ability to do things on the move, throw well on the move, play well outside the pocket is huge. And this kid, to me, on that film from Redlands, he showed that ability. And that's why it's going to be very intriguing to take a look at this kid and see what he looks like live. Because you know as well as I do, quarterbacks are so difficult to get a feel for arm strength and true power behind the throws when you watch him on film. So the chance to see him live and get a feel for, does he have the arm to make the throws? Because if he does, then all of a sudden you feel a lot more comfortable, because athletically you know it's there. The film shows him to be a smart quarterback. So if you feel comfortable with the arm strength from a live workout, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable saying this is the guy.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what he does out there. I mean, this is what the hub's about, is trying to find those overlooked guys. And
exactly.
Yeah, and so, it's funny because Zach had never seen the back end of the hub before, and he's out here in Jersey. So I was telling him, like, hey, I personally make it my job to get some kind of eyes on every single application and look into every single guy, because it's only right to give them an opportunity to get screened and an opportunity to work out in front of NFL scouts. So I showed Zach the back, and I said, yeah, what are we up to? 600, 700 applications, Tom? I'm trying to keep up with it. I'm like, yeah, man. I said, I haven't logged in for a day or two. I said, I got a lot of catch-up work to do. Thank God I'm an insomniac. Is that the right word? You can't sleep? Thank God. And so it's quite the process. It's just, I'm a very small part of the equation, because people ask me all the time, hey, Rick, did you get my application? Hey, Rick, did you applicate? I said, yeah. I said, I vouched for you. You need two. And it's a voting process. So you need somebody else who checks it, like Russ, one of the coaches, one of the members of the hub coaching staff, or, as Tom alluded to in the chat room, one of the players that an NFL team recommends, because they can only bring in 5 guys for Tuesday. So they might be working out a certain position. They can't bring in, hey, I'd love to see him out at the hub. If you can get player X, Y, and Z, we'll be there. And so it's a combination, but you need more than one to get into the big dance. And once you're out there, then you just need to find one to fall in love with you. But I love that I see a couple of people on Twitter now, especially with some of their clients, saying, hey, it's like punching your ticket into the big dance. It's like March Madness, awaiting the invitation, because it's just more and more applications. And at some point, this roster is going to fill up. I would say it's already like 85% full, Tom. So, I think they're going to have to do another event is just with the solution to this dilemma. But I mean, there's probably 1,000 players that are legit candidates. Last time they took 66 players out of over 600. And, a lot of those guys winded up getting picked up. So there it is in a nutshell. We broke it down for you. Any final thoughts here, Russ?
I'm just excited, man, to go out there, watch these players, teach these young people about scouting. It's going to be great, and I can't wait to get up to Montreal Friday and get to be in the building, see my first game in a number of years at our stadium on Saturday against BC. So everything's moving in the right direction. It's exciting times.
We're moving, we're grooving, body moving, can't stop, won't stop, Beastie Boys. Woo! I got the remix here. We did it again, baby. October, Hub Football. Announcement coming soon. Most positions already full. So there you have it, right from the horse's mouth. Whew, it was a fun show, Russ. Ric Serritella, Russ Lande, breaking it down. Again, tomorrow we have the Gamers, and Thursday we'll have Fit Gamer as we delve into the esports world. October 4th, Conference 1. A lot of big announcements coming. It's just going to be a wave pool, like boom, boom, boom. It's just what we do. Shout out to all our great partners, by the way. We don't do it enough, like the good folks at Hub Football, the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. We'll see Dane on Thursday. The Fan Controlled Football League, who I'll be chatting with tomorrow. Conference 1, outstanding. Mook Williams and NFL Draft Bible Consulting. Zach Petraw, who basically runs the NFL Draft Bible now. I have very, very little to do with that operation. That's Zach Petraw's baby. I'm just here to provide my scouting analysis to the guys I get eyeballs on. And I got out to quite a few schools before my travel plans got shut down. I'll be back on the road again once I get this vax and figure it out. We'll be hitting the scouting trails soon here. And Russ, man, safe travels as you venture to Canada and then to LA and then back to Canada. We'll be thinking about you. We might even get a Russell Lande sighting in the Jersey Shore.
You never know. You never know if I can figure out my schedule for Thursday.
Breaking news. Is that the October event? Did you want to announce the date? Is that the breaking news there, Tom, before we wrap it up? I'll throw it out there if you want me to. Drum roll, please. But make sure you go check out the website, NFLDraftBible.com. Hey, I forgot to shout out Sports Illustrated and the great folks at Fan Nation, part of the Sports Illustrated network, doing big things there. We're happy to bring Collegiate Conference 1. Boom. South Carolina quarterback Colin Hill. There you go. Big name quarterback, Russ. Officially confirmed just moments ago. You talk about a nice, strong-armed pocket passer with some big SEC experience. He won a few games now down there for the Gamecocks.
He did, no doubt. I'm excited to go out there and look at him because like we talked about, there are going to be a lot of quarterbacks this year that don't get the chance to go to the NFL that are sort of right on that cusp. So very excited to take a peek at this kid, no doubt.
Yeah, of course, starting off at Colorado State and then finishing up at South Carolina. We're excited to have Colin Hill out at the Hub Football on September 29th. So a little breaking news to end the show here. Big shout out to Samantha behind the scenes, all of our winners over the weekend. We'll do it again tomorrow. It's going to be a jam-packed show. Amanda Ruler, Chris O'Leary, ELF, Craig T. Smith, hopefully, and the Gamers. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 a.m. Can't stop, won't stop.